So my history with Zelda. So the first Zelda game I played was the Ocarina of Time, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, way back in I think 98, 99, around when it came out, at least anyway, late 90s. And I mean, I remember. Well, I vaguely remember the old Zelda games, right, when it was originally released back in the 80s, but I didn't play it then. I didn't really. Well, we didn't really have a whole lot of money, so we didn't play a whole lot of different games, and that was unfortunately one of the games that got missed during my my much younger years. So it's kind of, I have a vague memories of it, but Zelda Ocarina of Time was the first time I played it. So although I sort of knew about it, I didn't really know much about it, like, you know, what the game was about, what the story was. I didn't really know anything like that. So yeah, I played the Ocarina of Time. Just remember seeing it advertised on television, and it was just the most absolute unpolitically correct advert you could have, that you absolutely will not get away with in this day and age. But it appeals to me at the time, and I think it was my older brother actually bought the game, and it was like £50 at the time, because games are still expensive now, but you know, £50 for a cartridge was it was a lot of money back then. Well, still a lot of money now, to be fair. But yeah, so it was him that bought the game, but I played. I remember putting it in, and my first thoughts were just like, you know, what is this? Because on the advert it looked like this, you know, this very action packed, you know, get a 3D action game, and it kind of is. To be fair, it's not unaction but it was a little bit slower than I was anticipating. So when I remember my first few thoughts was something like, you know, what is this? Because you're literally just standing in a room and nothing's happening. But then as you play the game and, you know, it unfolds the story, and you realize it's all part of this sprawling epic adventure that is just awesome and amazing, and it just absolutely blew my mind. Just absolutely, just from beginning to end, it was just fantastic, and just really, really awesome game. Okay, yes, that's what you mean. I know what you mean. Right, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a spoiler. Well, yeah, it's a spoiler if you haven't played the game. But I don't know. It's been like nearly 20 years now. I think it might be okay to say it. might be okay, but I don't know. It was, yes. I mean, the 3D at the time, I believe, was pretty new. I mean, I don't know if Zelda was the first game to employ it in that way, but it's certainly amongst the first, if not the first games that I played that had that kind of 3D area with the Z targeting and so on. So for me, yeah, absolutely, it was just a mind blowing experience, just in how you played the game and just how the story unfolded. I have since played some of the older Zelda games. I've kind of gone back in time a little bit and played some of the older ones, and pardon. Um, not quite. More of a. I've lost the point. What was I saying? Yeah, I was trying to think of a witty joke, but it just went. That's all right. But yeah, no, I kind of went back and bought some of the old ones on. I think they were on like Game Boy or something, where they did like the old, not Game Boy, just got 3DS. I think not 3DS, DS rather. It was on DS. Yeah, the new. Well, they said when they announced the DS, they were like, no, it's going to be like the third arc, because they're going to have the Game Boy, then the DS, and the home console, which was the GameCube and then the Wii. But in the end, Game Boy just died out, and then they just carried on with the DS and now 3DS. So yeah, it's pretty much the Game Boy, really. Um, well, yeah, really. I mean, this is a different name, isn't it? Uh, oh, do you mean the quality of it? Yeah, oh, right, yes. No, the old one, yeah, ages, yeah, waiting for a while. But yeah, I did since play the old Zelda games on the DS, and they were okay. It was okay. I believe it was the first one I was playing, and it seemed alright. I didn't actually complete it in the end. It did kind of bore me after a while. Not quite the Zelda experience. Maybe if I played it back in the 80s, I would have appreciated it a bit more. But I think after Ocarina of Time and after other games we played, it was a bit difficult to get back into the old Zelda, 1985 game, playing it in 2000 and something. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult to get into, but it seemed okay. I mean, it certainly wasn't a rubbish game. It just didn't really hold my attention very long. So what do you mean? Okay, right. Yes. So yeah. So you got all the smaller Zelda games that you have, right? The like, what do you call it? The that one they did for the Wii with the gun and not the with the they had the light gun, not even a light gun, but you got the little yeah, you had the Wii motor. You put it in this holder that looks like a gun, makes it look like a gun, and then the Zelda game was that you shoot arrows or crossbow rather at these enemies. It was actually a pretty decent game. It came with the whole gun holster thing. I don't know what you call it, but it came with it. It was like 20 quid or something like that. It was pretty cheap. It was more of a demo than a game, but it just kind of showed what the Wii could do in terms of holding it in that way. And it was okay. It wasn't a Zelda game in the traditional sense. It was just a game with Link on it. It was called like Link's Crossbow Challenge or something like that. Yeah. Crossbow's something I'm pretty sure of at least. But yeah. Well, it was the first one, just Zelda, Legend of Zelda. So the first one that was back in, it was released originally. I think it was 84, 85, around about then. It was released originally, but I didn't play it till 2000 and whatever the DS came out. So it's all just one big blur now. So, but yeah, after Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, I did play Majora's Mask, which was okay. I liked it. It wasn't bad. I think it was pretty much Ocarina of Time again, I felt, and didn't really do a whole lot new apart from, of course, it didn't have the time traveling aspect to it, and so a few things there. But in terms of how you play the game and the style of the game was pretty much the same. So it was an okay game. It certainly wasn't a rubbish game. But it didn't blow my mind as much because, at that point it's kind of like, well, I've seen this before, really. And then there was the GameCube's Wind Waker, which I really liked, actually. I actually quite enjoyed that game. A lot of people didn't like the cel shading design of it, but I actually I really liked that. I thought it was a really cool art style. My only issue with Wind Waker was that I felt the game was way too easy, because it just felt like I was walking through the whole game pretty much. It was a big game. It was quite a long game, but it was pretty easy. And then, of course, there was the Twilight Princess. Now, Twilight Princess, I believe that's the last major Zelda game so far. Oh, right, no, there was Skyward Sword. Okay, I'll rephrase that. It's the last major Zelda game that I've played. Yeah, I forgot about Skyward Sword, but yeah, that came. Yeah. All right, we'll come to that in a little bit.